Warning: some viewers may find the following content disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's unmute me. We're live. Every day it's something. Every day it's something. We love it though. It's a live show. This is what you get. So we've got a very unique show today. This is going to be unlike any Medic Monday that we've done. We are going to be reacting less to medical scenes, and we're going to be talking about the movie Civil War. We watched it so that you don't have to, unless you want to, of course. And then on top of that, we have a crazy giveaway today. So the DireFAK, we've been talking about it. People have been buying it. Celebrities have been buying it. Militaries have been testing it. This thing is really, really awesome. And we want to make sure we get it into your hands. So we're actually giving away 3 of these. So the first one is going to be a full Stop the Bleed bundle, which means you get the cat tourniquet with the cat tourniquet holder, the trauma shears with the trauma shear sheath, and of course the DireFAK MP, the most compact and versatile med kit on the market, IFAK I should say, on the market. And so we're going to break this down a little bit physically here in the studio today. Something I really haven't done much on stream aside from just kind of talking about very specific things. I actually want to open this thing up. I want to talk about the components inside. And we're going to tell you how to do this, how to enter into this giveaway in collaboration with Audi Gear. And it's going to be awesome. So we're going to get into that. Very, very political show today. A lot of talking. It's a lot of the politics we talk about are there because it does tie into the Medic Monday theme of being prepared. Like Medic Monday isn't just us talking about medical stuff. It's to better prepare you and kind of try to get people to think about their own safety. You are your own first responder. We've talked about in the show over and over and over again. 911 may not be as close as you think they are. And society is getting worse and worse. Violence and crime are at all-time highs. Be prepared. Make sure that you don't subsidize your family's safety to the government. Take matters into your own hands. Get prepared. Get a DireFAK or win one today. We'll see how it goes. With me to talk about this and everything else is Brent Reese.
The most consecutive guest.
We need that yellow button push.
That yellow button.
Yellow button. Big yellow button.
Right side.
Yay! There it is. We got.
And we thought it was because I was celebrating myself last week. Just so you know.
Yes.
Awesome, man. I am so glad to be back.
Yeah. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Brent Reese. This is who I am. What I do is videography. I was recently upgraded to creative director here at Dire Armory, and I am typically the producer of Medic Monday. Today we have the great Michael with us to handle that, so I can just focus here. But speaking politically, I was recently upgraded to vice president, right?
Of the United States, or?
No, of Medic Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just because of the political influence and everything, we had to make some decisions. This is just what it's come to, guys. I'm so sorry. There was no one better. But
this is what you get.
I showed up. Sometimes kids showing up.
We love having you, and it's been cool because the roles were kind of reversed. So usually you're in the producer chair. Usually Michael, who stays pretty well informed and has public safety in his family and everything. It's cool to switch it up, but it is funny having Michael over here producing. And Michael, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, hey everyone, it's Michael again.
Familiar voice.
I'm over here in the chair. I'm the guy in the chair today. It's good to be here again. Thanks for inviting me back to trust me with the producing of the show. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Even though sometimes I forget to unmute the mics when we start, but it's okay.
Yeah. As the great Willy Wonka said, button, who's got the button? You do.
You do. You got all the buttons.
I got the buttons today. So thanks for having me back.
Yeah, dude. So you guys may hear his voice chiming in, especially when we get into some of the politics of the Civil War movie. I think that's enough with the chat. Let's get into the show. Right. So let's talk about the DireFAK a little bit. That's kind of really what I wanted to get into. And we're just I think we do have one clip that we're going to react to that you sent. It's a real clip. It's not a TV show.
Yes.
and it just escalates. It keeps escalating. The
It
clip
is. It is probably the most live action clip I've probably ever seen in my life.
yeah, it's just crazy. So we are gonna watch that, but let's talk about the DireFAK real quick. So what is the DireFAK? The DireFAK is the most, like I said before, it's the most compact and versatile IFAK on the market. It is kind of geared to more tactical guys, but as we've been using it, it's the implications for EDC, that's your everyday carry, are just it's awesome. You can use it however you want. This easily slips into a cargo pocket. So let's get into the design of it. It's roughly the size of a 20-round AR-15 magazine. It will fit into most mag placards and magazine holsters on the market. You can see it's incredibly slim. So let's open it up and talk about kind of what's inside of it. So with this, and you can kind of see how the design here, like this loop can be looped around a normal belt. It can be looped around your battle belt. And it really is just half the size of everything on the market. I did a bunch of market research on this. There was a lot of R&D that went into this. So it's really, really nice to actually see it in hand. So you deploy it. This will easily retain in your belt. It drops low, so you have like an easy angle of access, and it'll still retain on your gear if you need to move quickly. So pulling out first, obviously we have chest seals. So the kind of holy trinity of trauma care is pack the junctions, seal the what am I looking at?
Main cam.
Oh, main cam. Sorry. Pack the so we're gonna seal the box, which is your torso. We're gonna pack the junctions, and we're gonna tourniquet the limbs. So it's kind of the holy trinity. If you can carry those three things on you, that's what's gonna save your life most immediately. And one thing that always happens when I'm looking up med kits or IFAKs on the market, it's like, hey, here's like this big kit, and here's like a couple things that will save your life and a bunch of fluff. We've got Band-Aids and rolls of gauze and all this stuff, and it's an illusion to get people to feel like they're getting more for their money with these big, bulky kits. And it's kind of like a lot of these IFAKs on the market cost more than this does, and they don't really include anything more of value than what you're getting in the DireFAK. So here's your three holy trinity of trauma care right here. Your three items. You're going to pack the junctions. You're going to tourniquet the limbs with a backup tourniquet. Probably the only IFAK in the market that actually includes two tourniquets. I have run motorcycle wrecks with like compound fractures, like people's femurs broken, squirting blood out, and had to put 2 cat tourniquets on. So it's not uncommon to have to double tourniquet. If your first tourniquet doesn't work, you may need to do a second tourniquet. We're the only ones that have a second tourniquet. Both of these together are a Israeli dressing. That's how we keep the DireFAK so slim and compact, is multi-use items. And then, of course, you've got seal the box. This is penetrating chest wounds, pneumothorax, hemothorax, which I happen to have personal experience with. Collapsed lungs. I've been decompressed before. It's not fun. This can make things better. You don't want air getting in and out and all sorts of things. So sealing, and this comes with 2. You get your entry wound and your exit wound. So that's kind of a breakdown with what we have. Now, trauma shears, not necessarily going to save your life immediately. A lot of times, too, if you watch combat footage, police shooting footage, you'll actually see people just tourniquet over their pants. If you don't know where you hit and you just see like blood spilling out everywhere, that's kind of the military mantra, is high and tight. They just put it as high as possible and as tight as possible. You may not have time to get in there and expose what's actually going on. In a non-combat situation, civilian, whatever, you may have a little bit more time on your hands to maybe cut some clothes off and actually see what's going on. EMS personnel were taught 3 inches below, 3 inches above the wound, not near a joint. And you may have time to actually sit down. If it was you or Michael or somebody that was hurt, I would be able to like lay you down. I would be able to actually see what's going on. You might want some trauma shears to actually like cut some clothes off. Trauma naked is what we call it.
Right.
If you get in the ambulance, you're getting all your clothes cut off. You're gonna be naked as the day you were born.
If you're gonna get injured, don't wear your favorite outfit. That's my advice.
Oh, I've had people beg me to not cut. One of the motorcycle guys that I told the story a while ago. The guy, his eyeballs popping out and everything. he was like he was messed up, and he was still concerned about his leather motorcycle jacket. He's like, "Don't cut my jacket, please. Don't cut my jacket." And we're like, "We'll work the best we can," but he was crunchy. He was like,
Saved my life.
"Yeah,
Cut my clothes.
life over limb."
Saved my life.
That's like a big thing. So this is a big deal. So I really want to get into how to win this, and
I do want to make one comment as a bystander.
yes, go ahead.
The thing I love about the DireFAK, and as someone who spent a lot of time doing photography and videography of this, and hopefully you guys have been checking out the content on the Dire Armory page, as well as the Medic Monday page. So be following that on Instagram and all the good stuff. But the thing I love about it as someone who's still kind of new to this area of hobby and passion and all that is the versatility. I think there's like 81 ways you can attach this to yourself.
Yes.
I even think this is long enough if you just really need to have it close to the neck. You know,
You can turn and get your own neck.
yeah. I mean,
Stop a nosebleed.
but real talk. I mean,
Don't do
like,
that.
yeah, don't. I'm just kidding. Just the versatility of getting this on your pack, on your chest, to your side, like in your mag holder. I mean, it's an incredible piece, and I've seen a lot of what David has showed me, that there's plenty of stuff out there. You can go buy other packs.
There's great kits in the market.
There are great kits. We're not going to lie. But I can say the work that David has put into making this the most versatile DireFAK that you may even be able to find on the internet is incredible.
Yeah. So I was doing some research when I was doing this. There's some that come close. And I'll shout out the companies because honestly, like DireFAK, yes, buy the DireFAK. It directly supports the show. I always joke around like, you will die if you don't have this product. There's life-saving gear in here that I have used personally. This brand, this stuff, I've run the gunshots, I've plugged the bullet holes using this stuff. It will 100% save your life. But one of the problems, there's a company called Dark Angel, legit guys. Dark Angel's legit guys. They provide legit training. The equipment they use is legit. Their version of this is almost $100 more, and there's no way to really detach it from you quickly. You have to like molly it to you. And then it also includes a bunch of, like I said, it's big and thick, and it doesn't include like a bunch of the stuff that you actually need. It includes like extra roll, and you can add. They're like, oh, you can add stuff. Oh. Okay, cool. So extra rolls of gauze, extra cling wrap, gloves. It's like, okay, you're shot. You're going to take time to put on gloves for your own blood. Like all that stuff is, I'm not saying don't carry gloves. Put it in a pack, put it in your backpack, put it in your car's med kit, whatever. This is going to be what you deploy immediately to save your own life.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And we are trying to we're supposed to have the link right now. So I'm going to go into how this works. And I'm texting on my phone. Okay, here it is. Cool. So I've got the link here, and we are going to send this over to Michael right now, and we're going to get this link live, and this will be for the giveaway. I'm going to just email it to medicmondaylive@gmail.com. And by the way, send your clips. While I'm talking about Medic Monday Live, send your clips to Medic Monday Live.
That email button on the stream deck.
Yes.
Got it.
It's the subject title is Gleam on Medic Monday. I just sent it over. Send those clips to medicmondaylive@gmail.com. Live clips, political talking points. You're watching a TV show and you're like, is that really, really realistic? Send it over to us. We want to react to these. Blow up the chat if you can, even if you've got stuff now. We'll get to it next episode. We'll say, hey, so-and-so send us this clip from the chat. Check it out. So here we go. So, yeah, go ahead and share the screen.
Put that up.
So this is how it works. 13 days left. Put this link in the bio if you can. Link in the bio. The link in the description of the video. There's all the social media stuff. I can't keep up with
chat.
In the chat, yeah.
Put the
Make
link
sure
in the
everybody's got
the
it.
Chat, the bio. Put it in the mail as well.
This is how we're gonna do this. So three DireFAKs is what we're giving away here. You got it up? Okay. So basically, it's a Gleam giveaway. So the Gleam giveaway, you will be prompted to sign up for the Audi Gear newsletter. Audi Gear is the company. They've been an amazing company. They do really high-quality work, 500D Cordura fabric, engineered, over-engineered. We've been researching this, testing it. We've been deploying it a bunch. These things hold up. They make cold weather gear. They make great range pants. They make plate carriers. They make all sorts of stuff. I pitched them the idea for the DireFAK. Actually, they may have kind of come to me and been like, "Hey, we're thinking about getting in the med kit space," and I was like, "Hey, I got this product that I've been working on." We've worked with them before. It was just a very seamless unification here for this project. So I said product. So it's super cool that they believe in the product. And so you sign up for the Audi Gear email blast right here. That gets you like 20 entries. Subscribe to our podcast. Follow us here on Rumble. Gets you 20 more entries. If you're watching this now live, go ahead and hit that follow button. That will get you 20 entries. If you're already followed and you just go to the Gleam and you click follow, it'll detect that you already followed and go ahead and give you the entries.
Yeah, definitely click on it if you're already following.
Yeah, even if you're already following, go ahead and go to the Gleam giveaway, do it, because you want that 20 entries. Yeah. So you can actually, as you do those two, it'll unlock more entries. You can follow us on Instagram. It'll unlock 20 more entries. So you want as many entries as the app will let you get. So it's super cool the way it's done. And in 13 days, this is a third-party app, Gleam. They will actually choose a winner randomly. So we have no story. My dad's actually sitting here in the studio today. I can't be like, "Oh, hey, look at that. Gary won a free DireFAK." I can't do that. Okay. So this is completely randomized. It's done by a third-party app. I can't influence it in any way. And it's going to be really cool to get your hands on this. And if you win, shout us out on Instagram. Tag us whenever you get it. You get to choose your color. So, and I believe this includes, assuming the M81s are not completely sold out, I believe we're burned halfway through the M81 inventory already. And once that design is gone, it's gone. So M81 is been hot, and you may or may not, if it's sold out, then we can't do anything about it. But if there's still some in stock and you want an M81 from this giveaway, we'll let you pick the M81.
Right. The fact that you could pick your own color, your own paint job, whatever.
Paint job, yeah.
And like I said, there are 81 ways to attach the DireFAK, and that's why we named it the M81. It's not because of the paint job. I just want everyone to know that. We called it M81 because we had to celebrate the 81 ways you can attach it to your kit.
Inaccurate information given. So, guys, go to the Gleam. We've got it in the chat. We've got it in the bio. Everybody good? Okay, cool. Go do all that stuff. Get as many entries as you can. Buy this stuff. It's really good. It's quality equipment, and it will save your life. You will die if you do not get this product. And two, if you're watching this and you just want a solid IFAK, EDC, something to throw in your wear on your belt, cargo shorts, throw it in your purse, whatever, go grab it. AudiGear.com. We've got a link in the description just to go straight out and buy it right now. If you want to do it that way. This is really, really exciting, and it's kind of a dream come true for me. So without getting too sappy with it.
Right on.
I think that's enough of that. Everybody clear? Everybody clear in the chat on what to do to win? And we're going to keep pushing it. We're going to keep pushing it. So get your entries in any way you can. What do you say we react to some medical? What do you say we react to this clip you sent me? This crazy clip.
This was, 2:48 in the morning last night, laying in bed for 3 hours, can't sleep. And then Twitter just said, "Hey, I have cool stuff." And then the rabbit trail began. So
yeah. So
this is one of them. One of the clips.
Do we know where this was taken?
Yes, right next to a Burger King.
I'm really glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, it's very important for us to know the closest fast food chain to any accident. You may say it's the DireFAK that's most important to have close. I say, what's your closest fast food chain? Because if you need somebody to come pick you up,
You might want a burger before you go to the ER and sit in the
Say,
waiting room.
hey, I'm at the Burger King and I'm hurting. They know where to come.
Actually,
They know where to pick you up.
I know you're kidding, but that is a thing.
It was a half and half because I do know that there's a good...
People don't know like a lot of times the street that they're on. So a lot of times we'll get like the firefighters in your territory kind of know their territory. So like you'd be like, hey, there's a person shot. Okay, and of course this is dispatch. I don't know the actual conversations, but okay, where are you? I'm by the Burger King and the Checkers. It's like the firefighters in that area kind of know exactly where that is because they drive those territories. So like looking around and knowing your landmarks, we kind of hit on this. Like guys tend to. I know we even brought Liam into that conversation there earlier. The guys tend to be more aware of their surroundings, and if you're kind of like that prepared type person, look for landmarks, know your exits, just keep an eye on things. But let's check this thing out. So let's see and we're gonna pause it a couple times because there's some things I want to talk about.
There's quite a bit that happens.
So to preface this, we don't know the situation that's happening. It looks like there's a work truck here that may be getting carjacked currently.
That's really what it seems like.
Yeah.
I actually didn't read into much of the comments. I could have probably got more information, but it does look like someone is trying to steal this work truck, and the worker is trying to...
I avoid reading comments. It's like a lawless wasteland.
I think that's enough. Let's watch it.
Yeah, so worker here in the middle in the yellow vest, and then somebody's, I guess, carjacking him. So he's like, what are you doing in my truck, bro? There's obviously some confrontation. Of course, every person filming any of this stuff has full-blown seizures. Shots fired. Go ahead and stop it right there. So those are like point-blank shots, right? So this guy jumps in the car, and this guy's like shot, backs up, shot, backs up. It is really hard for me to believe that he didn't nail one of those shots. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know. People like if you're in a car and you get hit a couple times, you may just book it. So this guy's driving away. This guy's doing whatever. But yeah, keep playing the clip. So he's out. He's not continuing to shoot.
Yeah, he kind of has just calmly like stayed put. So this is where it gets kind of like, wait, what is going on?
Boom!
Yikes, bro.
Oh my God!
Brutal.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Of course, here comes this full-blown seizure of the camera person. So he's laying there. This guy's taking off.
Yikes, bro.
Some random woman just screaming her head off, not helping the situation. We go ahead and pause it.
Anybody on a phone, like legitimately.
No, can you like back it up to like right about where he gets hit? I kind of want to see where he was actually struck. So he's like, he sees it coming. He's trying to get away. So fast scrub forward a little bit. There it is. Oh, he does like 2 flips. He gets hit square in the pelvis.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
If he's not,
Oh my God!
he's probably not dead yet. But he's hurt.
Yeah, he's not really moving like all, so I'm definitely thinking like pelvis injury.
Oh yeah. So actually, a funny story. I assisted with a forensic pathologist in an autopsy for my paramedic clinicals. And it was pretty crazy. He came in and they laid the body on the table. They warn us before we go in there, like, hey, this is kind of a heavy atmosphere. This is what to expect. If you feel uncomfortable, you can always step out of the room. You can do whatever. So they lay this guy on the table. The person comes in and they kind of read off what happened. They don't know how he died necessarily. He was basically found. He was a homeless guy found face down on a puddle. Here's what's in his pocket. So you have to be very careful about what you say. You can't say, oh, he overdosed on crack. Because he was found face down in a puddle, and here's a crack pipe, and that's what it was. There was a bunch of drugs on the table. Drugs, a crack pipe, like $6 cash, and they go and they itemize, this is everything that was found in his pocket. So the forensic pathologist is like looking at us like, not that it matters, but what do you guys think? Well, like, probably a dude doing drugs, overdosed, whatever, died. He was 40-something years old. So we're like, okay, so we get in there. and they pull out. I'm assuming what I thought was like when they did autopsies, I always assumed that it was like these nice white rooms with like these like hydraulic or like powered like micro saws, or like and they kind of like clean, they cut everything. Bro, they brought out like Home Depot tools, garden shears, bolt cutters, like big old bolt cutters. They just literally take a knife and they're like Y incision, open them up, everything's there. It's just like, oh, and then they just get bolt cutters and they're like breaking all the ribs. They pull the ribs open. They start when they open up his. I was working on his head, so they were like, "Hey, who wants to get their hands a little dirty?" And I was like, "I can't be here and not do something wild," you know. So they cut his scalp, and they were like, "Okay, so pull his scalp down." So I was like, "Okay." So they cut like up here, and they pulled his scalp down, and they got a circular saw, and they cut his skull open, and to pull his brain out. So pull the brain out. I held his brain. It's weird how heavy it is. It's like it's actually really small, but it's like really heavy, like unnaturally heavy. It doesn't feel real. So they're doing that, and then while I'm doing that, they're working on his stomach, pulling all his intestines out, and they literally just throw it all in a black garbage bag, like all the innards. And he's like, "Hey, this is weird. Look at this." So they pull all of his intestines and everything out, and it's like a bowl. You see the backside of his spine and the inside of his ribs and everything, and his pelvis is cracked, like cracked open. There's a bunch of blood. Like you see all these movies, and they like get their intestines cut out, and their intestines are spilling out, and there's blood everywhere. You're not supposed to have blood in your intestinal cavities. Like if you think about it, right? It's actually pretty clean in there. It's supposed to be. So if there's a bunch of blood in there from and they weren't shot or anything like that, it's like, where's this blood coming from? Right?
Yeah.
So that's something I never thought about.
I've not until now thought about that. So
yeah, so like your intestines will actually be pretty clean. And I've seen eviscerations and things like that, and it's pretty clean. It's just intestines. There's not blood everywhere, like blah, 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 coming out. Like you don't have arteries in your intestines, right?
So Mortal Kombat lied to me.
Correct.
Okay.
So anyways,
Unwinding.
The forensic pathologist was like, well, your autopsy just got upgraded to a potential homicide. And it turns out the dude was struck by a vehicle, and it was a hit and run.
Wow.
Not a drug overdose, not whatever. And I was like, man, this is kind of, I'm a firefighter or whatever, but I was like, this is kind of a cool job. Like, maybe that's probably like like the 99% of the fire departments just kind of just these dumb BS calls, like lift assists, picking up granny off the floor, the life alert, whatever. But occasionally you get that structure fire, and you're like, oh yeah, this is why I love this job. I'm assuming for a forensic pathologist, that is kind of their structure fire. Like, oh shoot, this is an actual homicide now. Like, we just used our detective abilities to discover something. That was kind of a rabbit trail on this, but seeing that guy get hit reminded me.
No, but that is cool because like you think about like, oh, is it just run of the mill, what you expect? Or is it something like, whoa, like we need to figure out what happened to this person?
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, like what happens, this guy had a dignity. He had a life. He was of value. Like I don't really care what your view on
crackheads
homeless people are. They're still a valuable human being. And may have had some very unfortunate things happen to them in life, and they don't deserve to be struck by a vehicle and left on the side of the road
to die
at all. And that guy deserves the justice of, hey, this is what happened to him. Yeah. And if they could find that person, do something about it, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
But man, that's crazy to think. Like you're just like, homeless guy, dead,
crack.
I mean, like honestly, I was going to go with drowned. You said they found him in a puddle.
It could like if he passed out from drugs and fell. I mean, things like that have happened. Didn't somebody just die? Who just died in the hot tub? We don't know that's what that was.
That's a good
How
question.
about the Friends actor?
Yeah.
Matthew Perry?
What, Matthew Perry?
Yeah.
Liam says Matthew Perry. Yeah. Well, they say maybe he was not like drug addicted or something, but he happened to be on some medication for something, and then maybe mixed it with alcohol or something is what they're saying.
And kind of down that train of thought, like I think I know, but you can correct me if this is not knowledge, but like a person on a heroin overdose, they can vomit, and if they're not laying in the right position,
Happens all the time.
they can literally just choke on their vomit.
Happens all the time. Oh,
Happened to Jesse's girlfriend in Breaking Bad.
yeah, that's
oh, really?
That's where I originally was like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, in the show. I was like, I was thinking in real life. No. Okay. Jesse's girl.
Nope.
Yeah. And a lot of times people get scared and they leave them there. So we'll actually find like people.
Oh, that's terrible.
So there's updates to this, John. Yeah. So the name of the man killed trying to stop. Oh, so he died. He did die. He tried to stop someone from stealing a car. 38 died. He was hit by a stolen car, allegedly driven by 28-year-old Ricky Alex Driggers. In the Friday update, police also released the charges of Driggers is facing. He's charged with first-degree murder. That was definitely intentional. 2 counts of attempted common law robbery. It's kind of underwhelming after. So we're charging you with murder, and you tried to steal a car. Larceny of motor vehicle with a felony and felony fleeing to elude. Police were called in an attempted carjacking around 10:30. You know, this is a good point about concealed carrying, being a gun owner. When do you step in? When do you not step in? Honestly, if I see somebody stealing a car, am I going to try to pursue? Am I going to pull my gun at point blank and start shooting into the vehicle to try to stop this guy from stealing a vehicle? Like, I'm not so much concerned about like shooting a criminal or whatever. I'm more concerned about my own safety.
Right.
Does he have a gun?
Right.
As soon as you present that threat of like you've now escalated this to life or death.
So for me, thinking like, how would I want to work out the situation? Would it be better to take a picture of the license plate so you can report that so that they can much more easily track the vehicle down?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for me,
problem solved.
For me, I have a family, and I don't need to be anybody's hero.
Right.
Like even in the fire department, even where my job, we talked about this last Medic Monday, risk a little, save a little, risk a lot to save a lot. And if it's not, and we always break these down into the Chicago fire and 911 stuff, it's like these guys are running into collapse zones, ripping off their mask, because, maybe I heard somebody. No, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm sorry, but and we get trained to this as recruits. Like, your job is to go home at the end of your shift safely.
Right.
Like, you're not doing anybody any good. And again, I'm not, I hate to use the word victim blaming. I'm not victim blaming this guy or whatever. He chose the decisions he made. And honestly, it was probably out of a good place of his heart of like, hey, I'm going to stop this crime.
And we don't know everything that was happening prior to this clip. And honestly, like even when the guy's jumping in the car, we don't know all that was going on. I mean, other dude may have had a gun. And when he jumped in the car, that guy thought, I have an opening. I'm going to take it. We don't know that. But I think the one thing I want to say from what you were just saying, at the end of the day, emergencies that are successfully, I think, addressed are done in a calculated way.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, when we talk about the DireFAK, when we talk about, pulling a gun on someone in an emergency situation, the best thing you can do is prepare.
Yeah.
So whether it's stop the bleed, getting to your local gun range, hiring who's somebody that trains you to shoot?
Instructor?
Yeah,
like
instructor. That's the word. Doing the things.
A teacher?
Doing the things that you need to do to prepare yourself for situations is worth considering.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that because this dude lost his life. And to be honest, over a car kind of sucks.
Yeah.
To say I understand that I don't know all the details, so I'm not critiquing this guy on what he did. But I'm saying if I'm just looking at it on paper, it sucks that this dude lost his life over it.
Now, here's where things change, and I've said this before in the show that like kids change the game. Oh. If somebody's like screaming, if I see a dude like ripping a woman out of a car and she's screaming, "My baby's in there," like I may be more apt to act. Actually, this is I was coming home from friends of ours' house, another firefighter, and me and my wife are at the intersection, and we're just sitting there waiting for the light to turn green, and right in front of us, pop, like head-on collision. One car rolls off into the ditch, and my wife is like, "What is wrong with you?" Because I didn't even react. I just was like, boom, saw it, and then like, is the light going to turn green? Like, this is not my problem. The the girl gets out. A girl gets out of the minivan and opens a door, and I see car seats, and I'm like, I'm gonna go over there and check on them. Just walk over. Hey, is everything? I'm not gonna be like, I'm a firefighter. Is everybody okay? I'm not gonna put my stuff out there because there is some legal stuff. There's Good Samaritan laws that protect me against anything. If some protection there, but there's actually a legal something called duty to act, that if you have the training and the certifications on a state level and you are there and you choose to not do anything and that person like dies, you can technically get charged with neglect. You'll like lose your license and go to jail.
Wow.
So it's different things, but now when they tell you this in training, they make it sound like you have to stop for every accident you see because you are, you may be their only chance of life or whatever. But like, I kind of looked at him. I saw him. This guy's talking. This guy's breathing. I'm like, okay, I'm already doing this. So I went over to the other guy. I could smell alcohol all over him. His leg was bent like this, like 90 degree. His arm was bent up. And I walk over and I'm like, I start to say something to the guy. And some guy, I feel this hand across my chest. And this guy looks at me and he goes, hey, buddy, I got this. I'm a lifeguard. And I was like, cool, dude. And I left. Like, you sound like you got this under control, sir.
Starts doing CPR.
So
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
So,
What?
yeah. He didn't know. I don't offer that information of who I am or what
Yeah. I'm just.
what my certifications are. I'm not trying to be that guy. I don't care. Again, if a child is in danger, then I will allow myself to risk a little bit to maybe protect that. A grown drunk man plowing into this, you look at him, okay, he's not bleeding out, he's not doing whatever, he'll be fine. I'm leaving it. Sorry. But again, this guy, it looked like a work truck. I doubt there were kids in the back seat. I doubt whatever.
Oh, man.
Yeah, one quick, like the way that, I would view something like this, kind of what you were saying, is I know they say in the article that you were reading, like, it says a couple good Samaritans attempted to stop the carjacking, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I feel like there's like a clear difference between someone being a good Samaritan, someone being a vigilante. Like, I feel like in this situation, it's of course, the context is very important. We don't know the context of truly the events that led up to this. And like you said, does he have a weapon? In my mind, whenever I'm like in a situation similar to that, my first thought is, okay, threat assessment. How much of a threat does this person pose to the people? Not to the vehicle, not to, is he going to steal this car? Like, is there a direct threat currently right now to like lives, to human lives in the area? And in this situation, like, maybe at the time, there possibly could have been, the guy who ended up attempting to stop the carjacking, who ended up dying, like, maybe he perceived that there was a serious threat to human life at the time, depending on maybe he had a weapon. Maybe he's like, okay, is he going to try to run someone over with his truck now that he has it? And maybe that's what drove him then to pull his weapon and to attempt to stop the threat. But I feel like that's the number one thing in situations like this, is like kind of like what you said, like if someone is being carjacked and they have children in the car, now that is those kids are directly in the line of harm's way, right? I feel like in that situation, the response of someone else trying to step in to stop that, I feel like it's much more warranted than just for the sake of trying to keep a vehicle from being stolen. Because like I said, I don't want to say like just let the criminal do it, because like I hate that argument, like just let him do it. But like in reality, like you need to think about yourself, your own life, and how important it is for I guess you in the situation to stop that threat based on the kind of threat that person is actually posing to people in the area. Like if a car's being, like, someone breaks in your house in the middle of the night, I've heard people say like, hey, just let someone rob you if you, it's like, no, because in that situation, you don't know what's going on. You don't know
if they're in my house, they're probably getting smoked.
In my house, you're getting smoked. But like someone's stealing a car, like I was actually, I got a funny story actually. I was at a Steak and Shake, probably 6 years ago with my friend, and we witnessed a carjacking, and my friend hopped in. Is this an interesting situation where there's these two guys were sitting in the booth behind us, or I guess next to us, and I was watching this altercation go down. My friend was sitting across from me, so it was all happening behind us. He wasn't really seeing what was going on. But these guys came in. Two guys were already sitting at the table. Two guys come in. One guy like yanks the keys out of this guy's hand, starts to walk away super casually. Nothing's going on yet. Like it just kind of looked kind of strange. After maybe 10 seconds, the dude's almost to the door with this other guy's keys, and the guy who was sitting there, who just had his keys taken, gets up, runs over, and tackles the guy in the Steak and Shake, and they start like going back and forth, tussling on the ground. And my friend who was sitting there at the time with me turns around, he yells, "Hey, break it up!" And my friend's he was like a wrestler, very bit like just he's kind of like a very sense of duty kind of guy, where he's like he wants to like maybe like step in and try to just break up this fight. He runs over there, and he starts trying to get in the middle of it. He's getting in the middle of it, trying to break him up. The Steak and Shake manager trying to break him up. The dude, at the time, around like this is like I said, over the course of like 10 seconds, this happens. A guy runs into the Steak and Shake, who I guess was a friend of the guy who had just stolen the keys of this car, and he runs it, and he has his hands in the back of his pants. And in the moment, I'm looking at that thinking, oh my God, like
he's about to die.
I'm like, we're about like this is like we about to have to take cover, because like he's literally reaching his pants like this, grabbing his friend, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my friend's about to get shot. Like what's about to happen? Thankfully, that did not happen. But the dude got up and ran out and just stole the guy's car. And now the context there is I'm assuming these guys knew each other, because the way they were interacting before he stole the keys and walked off made it look like they knew each other to an extent, which is why I was just like,
I'm wondering if it was like an argument between friends over a car.
Yeah.
Who's paying for Steak and Shake?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it started.
Did they dine? Did they tip?
But that situation, I'm like, I'm not stepping in the situation, because these are two grown men who are going at it. I'm not interested in being involved.
Well, another DireFAK plug, because we talk about EDC and concealed carry and all this stuff, and you may live in a state like us where you have constitutional carry. You are much, much, much more likely to have to use medical gear than a firearm. The firearm is this is coming from somebody that concealed carry. I mean, you know me. You know how I am.
Don't look at the wall behind us. Just don't.
I'm telling you this from real life experience. The amount of traumatic injuries outside of a gunshot, they outweigh it 1,000,000 to 1. I mean, plate glass will kill you. Motorcycle wrecks, car wrecks, random accidents where you actually need trauma gear is much more likely going to save your life than shooting defensively. And in addition, a lot of people, I had a conversation with the guy in the gym. Hey, I conceal carry every day, but I'm looking to get a backup pistol, another pistol. And I was like, okay, well, before you do that, what's your medical gear setup look like? Have you taken a Stop the Bleed class? Like if you are considering carrying a second pistol and you have no medical gear, that's crazy. Like I want my first bases covered is preventing something, even in an extreme situation like the story Michael just told, and somebody does get shot. It's like Michael in that situation having a gun may not have even made a difference. At the end of the day, his friend's shot, right? And as soon as they shot, and if it's like a friend's squabbling or something like that, and his friend gets shot or whatever, odds are that guy's taken off. He's either shooting and he's going to back up and be like, oh, shoot, I just realized what happened. Maybe police show up. Hey, it was self-defense. He came at me. He got involved in this argument between me and my friend that took keys. Like he's the aggressor. Either way, the situation is probably going to mitigate itself typically, unless it's like an active shooter situation where somebody's coming in to do damage to everybody in the room as lethally as possible. At the situation's mitigated, people are bleeding out, even in a firearm self-defense thing. And most people just don't even have a med kit in their car. It's just mind-blowing to me, the concentration on firearms. This is coming from a big-time, obviously, gun guy. Like, I love guns. I like shooting guns. I like go to the range. I conceal carry every day.
David is 2A all the way.
2A all the way. I love it. Please, carry pistol, train, learn how to use it. More importantly, carry medical. Like, we run calls all day, every day. Trauma that don't even involve guns.
Yeah.
Where I'm watching a girlfriend hold her boyfriend crying, and if she had a tourniquet, he would be alive. She's sitting there holding him crying, and he's just bleeding out. Continuing to bleed out. It's like, tourniquet, YouTube level knowledge. I mean, you can look up tourniquet videos on YouTube. Look up, we're going to be releasing our own very soon. I hope, hopefully.
Working on it.
I didn't talk to you after the show, but maybe this week or next week we'll have some videos filmed.
Planning lunch.
Yeah. So, Skinny Medic. Follow Skinny Medic. He's a bro. Met him several times. He goes to a lot of the range days we go on. Really good information. Prep Medic on YouTube. Go subscribe to Prep Medic. A young guy, very 2A, very, very knowledgeable. He is up on the cutting edge of medical training, and he talks about what you should and why you should carry it. I've got videos coming out. If you do decide to build your own IFAK, you don't want to buy this amazing, groundbreaking IFAK, and you just want to build your own, that's totally fine. Our videos will still help you do that. I'm going to tell you what you need to concentrate on. I touched on it here, the Holy Trinity, seal pack tourniquet. Make sure you have that stuff ready to go. So I think we're ready to move on.
Yeah, quick transition. Love seeing the chat today. I'm kind of looking over it right now. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys for being active and supporting what we're doing here. You know, two dudes just doing something that we enjoy, and plenty of other people that have been supporting us the past couple of months being here.
Yeah.
Like we said, I think last week we were talking like it's been 6 months in the making to get this version of
and we're
Medic
only
Monday
on
up.
we're only on episode 8.
Episode 8 here on Rumble.
Here on Rumble.
Here on Rumble. So if you're in here and you've not followed yet, follow. Let's hit that Gleam link one more time.
Yeah,
because right
Gleam
now
giveaway.
there is a live giveaway for the DireFAK, and you can be one of how many winners?
3.
3 winners, my guys and gals. Hit that Gleam link. Get your entries. There is a total 80.
Yeah, you can.
100
I think you
entries?
can get. I think you can get 60, 70, 89, 100.
100 entries.
That was live math you guys just saw. I just did math in my head live.
That was pretty quick. But I do want to say, I see some people chatting, you chit-chatters, as David likes to say.
Yes.
Just branding a bit more. Talking about some of the shirts you guys have bought, and I just want to say thank you, because I really enjoy the merch side of Dire Armory, and if you want to have a 2A all the way t-shirt, just let us know in chat, but because I'm going to push for that now that I said it. But thank you guys so much for buying shirts. Thank you so much for tuning in. Just a quick appreciation for all of you guys being here, being active, you know, purchasing things, because not only does it help us do what we enjoy doing and providing you guys with content like this, it also feeds the mouths of children. For those that are sensitive to that, I just want you to know that you are feeding my nieces and nephews, and I love that.
Yes.
But really, thank you guys so much. Yep. And we are about to transition into a section that David and I are very excited about, because we did some homework on Friday. There was a little movie by a little production company that came out on Friday, only in theaters. You know, not a lot of movies make it big time, but some of them make it in theaters.
Oh, look at that. 210 total entries. So good job, guys.
Hey.
Keep it up.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up. So, yeah, we saw a movie.
Yeah, we did.
So that you don't have to.
You can if you want to.
You could.
But it is, we reacted to the trailer. We've talked about it. And the whole theme of the movie, the concept of the movie really hits home to a lot of people right now on both sides of the aisle. And unfortunately, they took away that when I saw the trailer for me, I said, I know what they're going to do with this, but I hope not. And I kept seeing the things and the trailers for it, and I was like, dude, this looks good. This might be like an opportunity for a groundbreaking movie that is so politically charged and at the same time not politically charged. Like, if they can pull this off, this will be a cinematic feat. Like, and there were ways they could do it, and we have so much to break down in this. This is gonna be a minute. There are going to be spoilers ahead, but we're going to not spoil a lot until the very end. I'm going to give you a warning. I'm going to give you like 10 seconds to leave before I spoil the movie.
This is your chance.
But there's a lot of, not now, after we talk.
Oh, yeah,
There's not much spoilers.
Sorry.
We're going to talk about points of the movie, but it does not going to spoil the movie.
No.
And to be clear, the movie is spoiled from scene 1. There's no twists in the movie. It's, hey, this is what we're going to do. And the whole movie goes on, and then that's exactly what they do. So,
lots of turns, but no twists.
No, yes, lots of turns.
Well, they were in a car, and there were some pretty big turns.
There were some turns.
Have you seen it, Michael?
Michael has not seen it.
Man.
I didn't see it over the weekend. Nope.
Man.
We went opening day. We wanted to do this because we've been talking about it and amping it up, and it does bring a lot of points to talk about and the polarization that's happening in America, and it's kind of a extreme what is the word I'm looking for? An extreme representation, an extreme like when a dream becomes a reality.
Right. It's
Manifestation.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
hypothetical manifestation of
a coming to fruition.
yes, of this polarization. If it got so bad to where people were reacting physically. And I've got some very, very specific points and points of view that they made. And let's go ahead and play the Twitter clip. This is Alex Garland talking about the movie and his vision for the movie. It's
That was also emailed over.
on X. I thought I had it pulled up. It's in the show notes. If you just go down to the main thing, I have it in there. Go to notes up on the left there. Go to Civil War points, and then let's go to. I didn't put it in there. It's in the email. It's in the email.
Okay, I'll look up an email at once.
Yeah. So Alex Garland basically he's talking about how he wants to make it non-politically biased.
Yeah.
And I thought that was important for the movie. You know,
It should be.
it should be important. And
Yes.
you got it? Yeah. So let's go ahead and play this for everybody. But we're trying to get it. Sorry. Some of this was last minute.
We threw Michael a lot of curveballs today, guys.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we need a.
There is a fascist
There we go.
president. The president is killing their own citizens. Then what's happened is two states who are in different political positions are saying we are more concerned about a fascist constitution smashing violent president. We are more concerned about that than we are about our political differences. And then there's a counter to that, which is if you cannot conceptualize that polarized politics could be overcome in order to combat a fascist president, what is that saying about the nature of polarized politics? So the film is about journalists doing old-fashioned reporting. I'm trying to echo that form of reporting, and I would be breaking that form of reporting if I started throwing bias all over it. And on top of that, would be dismantling the argument within the film, which is that polarization is not a good thing.
So that's very important. So he starts out by saying this follows Nick Offerman is the president in this film. And he starts off by saying a fascist president. So when you look up what is fascism?
Thank you.
And what would that look like in America? Now, can anybody in the chat, anybody alive, think of any president in recent history that has been titled a fascist dictator? The fears, the fear-mongering of being a fascist dictator, and what does that look like? What are the actions that a president would take to be considered fascist, right?
Right. That is a good question.
So the movie kind of sets this tone, as Alex Garland kind of said, like, oh, this fascist president is dividing America. So go ahead and pull up my notes. I have to read off notes, guys. I'm sorry because there's so much to break down. I got to make sure I get it all in order. Civil War notes. So first off, April 12th, I did not know this, was a big deal. 163 years to the day, April 12th, that the real American Civil War began.
Huh.
Now, there's a lot of nuance around that date. Some people say it was happening long before. Some people say it was happening even after they say the Civil War ended. There was still a lot of information that was not getting out that people were still fighting, and there was still a lot of stuff. Like the day slavery ended, it wasn't the day slavery ended, right?
Everywhere.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that was an interesting point. I didn't know that. So,
Wow.
So episode 1, Nick Offerman, episode 1, like scene 1, the movie literally opens with this, as you just heard Alex Garland say, is this fascist president. And I tried not to read into it. I said, I'm not going to go in here trying to assign political bias to every little thing. And Nick Offerman's practicing his speech, and he starts by being like, today, a great American victory. Then he gets like more and more exuberant with his speech. And he says, the greatest victory. Some say it's the greatest military victory. And he just goes on and on and on. And I was like, to me, that felt like they were already trying to paint him as this Trump-esque figure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't think that that thought popped in my head and I pushed it away. I said, no, I'm reading too much into it. Like right off the rip. I said, but that does feel like the way he kept escalating his speech and being like a military victory, the greatest military. Some say it's the greatest military victory. Like that's what it felt like.
All military
in all of history. Yeah. And it was just kind of like,
I don't say that, but people say it about it.
I don't. Yeah. Like I wouldn't say it, but everybody says it.
So
I know
I'm
it.
just
You know it.
saying
We all know it. It wasn't that blatant. It really wasn't. And I was trying not to, but as the movie went on, and it could just be confirmation bias in my own head,
Right.
but that's what that first opening scene felt like. He was more reserved and he was more like regal when he was talking. But that didn't, that kind of threw up a little flag in me, but I was like, I'm just going to watch the movie. I'm going to push that aside and not think about it. It wasn't until the end of the movie that I was like, okay. So he claims, so Alex Garland before, he's British. He's a British guy. And we kind of talked about this before the show, but it was like, it's like a British person who's pretty left, left leaning. It's like their view of American politics through the lens of media. They don't live here. They don't know. They're not as familiar with the nuances of all these American politics. All they know is what, like the British version of what the news media is telling them and the news that they are getting in their own country about Trump, which we all know, not about Trump, but about American politics in general.
Yeah.
And I'm saying Trump because he's been the most polarizing political figure that we've had since Abraham Lincoln. You know, like he's this crazy guy. So they're like, oh, this crazy guy, what's the mainstream media telling about him? He's got his finger on the nuclear button. All these things.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because media is very powerful, even for people who don't heavily pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But when you're constantly fed something, eventually you just start to think and believe something, even if it's just a little over here, a little over there. Your friends are talking about it. You hear a little bit of a TV broadcast or something like that. It's interesting because like I just got back from Cuba a couple months ago, and it's interesting to hear some of the conversations that are being had because, I have my views of America, where we're at, what we're doing, things like that. But when you get out of America, especially in a place where information is like so heavily controlled like Cuba, it is very interesting what people will begin to believe because they've spent the government, the media has spent a lifetime with these people telling them things.
Yeah.
And to your point, it's just like, it's very, the consistency of information and narrative can really, really guardrail somebody into a way of thinking and believing and understanding and a point of view. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's very
So
crazy.
The movie felt like that. It felt like everything was viewed through the lens of somebody that probably thinks of themselves as non-biased and centrist, but they're not. They're just simply not. So that brings me kind of to the second point. So the second thing is there's all these I don't want to get into it because if you're watching the movie, I don't want you to see the scene and be like, oh, I know what's going to happen. But because it is surprising, but there is a suicide bomber. And this was kind of the first thing where it clicked in my head of like, okay, this is how they're spinning this movie. This random guy runs in with an American flag, a suicide bomber, and he's like, America, boom, and detonates himself in the middle of like these aid workers. And it was kind of like the first realization of like, oh, this is like of the young journalist that the movie kind of follows. And I was like, really? I was like, I wanted to kind of get into and you can talk about this in the chat. When you hear the term extremist, what do you think? When you hear the term terrorist, what comes to your mind? Is the right wing, and I'm genuinely asking, is the right wing the bastion for terrorism in the United States? Are all these terrorist acts that's being committed, of course the media will label them right-wing extremists. What makes them right-wing? Why are you saying that they're right wing? And we got to a point where even on the news, I remember hearing them say these right wing extremists, and you know the type, waving their American flags, doing and it like during the Trump era of presidency, the American flag became the symbol, oddly enough, of the right. It was like if you had an American flag hanging off your car, who do you think you voted for, and why? Why is all of a sudden the American flag the thing that literally the United States? Why did that become a symbol of being, quote, right wing? Why aren't Democrats proudly flying? They don't fly the American flag.
Yeah, I guess because there's been kind of this rhetoric of the flag stands for an institution and not the prevailing. I don't know how to say it. I don't think it might come to me in a moment, but I think there's the flag has been attributed to an institution and not a people. Like when you go anywhere else, the cultural connection of any other place. Like I was at a wedding Saturday, and the woman, her family's from Mexico, and at some point she ran out with a Mexican flag. And because I knew of her, where her family was from, I knew her story. I knew her pride in her country and in her heritage. I saw the flag, and I didn't be like, not in America.
Yeah.
Get that green, red, and white out of here. No, I literally said, in my mind, I was like, that's really cool. That's really cool because she is proud of her heritage. She's proud of the culture that she comes from, and she wants to celebrate that. Feeling welcome here to do that.
Yeah.
At her wedding. I mean, it's her wedding. Have it her way. But at the same time, for us, we don't look at our culture that way. We really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that do. Don't get me wrong. I should clarify that. There are people that do. But I think the prevailing political look at our culture has deviated the flag from our culture and our presence as a people to it represents a political statement.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it's essentially like you're allowed to be proud. Whatever country you come from, you're allowed to be proud that you come from that country unless live in
it's America.
That's basically what it is.
There's some videos of these guys going around like asking college students, "Are you proud to be American?" And almost 99. Like, I mean, again, I don't know how many those videos are so deceiving. They could do 100 people and find 3 people that said no, and then they put it all in the video. It makes it seem like, but it was kind of surprising. Person to person, no, not really. I mean, colonialism and this type of stuff, and like, again, America's not innocent by any means, you know. Like, but what I'm saying is, when you see this movie, it was a person that is left-leaning's view of what a terrorist extremist would look like and the actions they would commit, and that person was carrying an American flag, screaming America as they detonate himself into a crowd.
Yeah.
To me, that as an American and somebody that is, I don't want to say I'm right wing. I'm probably more libertarian than anything. I'm pretty anti-government overall, or at least small government, anti-federalism. To me, that doesn't represent what somebody carrying an American flag would do. Right? We see people set themselves on fire in support of Palestine. We see people, and again, we've had people commit terrorist and hate crimes, like Dylan Roof shot up the black church and was spouting like this neo-Nazi stuff and had whatever, and he got labeled a right-wing extremist. But again, I'm asking, what makes that right wing? What about the right wing are you associating this guy with? Because nobody on the right wing is like, yeah, he's one of our guys. They're all like, yeah, what a scumbag. Execute him on the spot. And then places like California be like, no, we don't believe in the death penalty. But I guarantee you get a bunch of rednecks out there with Dylan Roof, and they're going to take justice in their own hands. But that's what I'm saying is like this attribution of the right wing to some of this extremist stuff is kind of just media garble, whatever. It's just, it doesn't make any sense, but people are just like, he's a racist and he must be right wing. So then whenever I started reading all these reports, when I was researching some of the stuff for this conversation, everything was like, oh, they're right-wing extremists. And I'm like, why? Because they're pro-gun? They're all of a sudden, they're the right wing? And so that was an important thing. So that kind of set the tone for the movie in my mind because it was one of the first scenes.
Right.
Oh, American flag, a pro-America suicide bomber. To me, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention, a lot of the shootings, the mass shootings and the terrorism that we've actually seen have been the Scalise shooting. Bernie Sanders supporter went up and shot up the baseball field where Scalise was out there playing. He got shot. Did he end up getting hit, didn't he? He survived? I'm pretty sure he got shot.
I believe so, yeah. But that was probably back from...
That was
years ago, right?
No, that was Bernie Sanders was running for president at the time.
Yeah,
so that would be the Trump... that would be 2016.
2016, yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm not sure if it was exactly 2016, but it was a big deal. I mean, and now we're seeing this wave of mass shooters, and none of them are right wing. And I hate to even say that. I'm just parroting the media, what the media is saying.
Yeah.
I'm not associating terrorism with the right wing at all, but what the media is saying, these right wing terrorist extremists, the racist shootings, like a lot of them, the Nashville shooting. They wouldn't even tell us. They wouldn't even release the manifesto. It was Steven Crowder that did investigative journalism to find it and leak. Got the manifesto of the Nashville shooter leaked because they wanted to keep it under wraps. And it turns out she is a trans shooter going in and shooting up a Christian school in order to terrorize Christians. But that's not the media. That's not what the media wants you to know. So that's why they try to keep it under wraps. And then they had the other trans shooter who's the guy that went through the unlocked door and just started shooting. It was a male to female transition shooter. Another one. I can't remember. I think Audrey Hale was the Nashville shooter. Mm-hmm. But another one, and it was like, okay, let's take the last 5 mass shootings that we've had. They've all been these more trans, more leftist, more these things, and immediately they come out and they're like, oh, these white nationalist shooters, and then we're like, oh, really? And then we start digging into it, and it's like, well, hang on a second. This person's wearing skirts in their Facebook profile pictures. Is that do you think that this person's a bastion of conservative right-wing Republicans? Like painted nails, skirts, oh, I think I'm a girl, I'm going to go shoot up the school. Oh, they must be right-wing. They must be conservative. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Where? Why? But from the outside, if you're British and you're just reading the news, you're like, man, these right-wing, white supremacist extremists are just shooting up the place and because they have unlimited access to ghost guns. And it's like, not really. So that felt to me like a point in the movie where I was like, this is somebody that is out of touch with what it means to be non-biased.
Yeah.
Because that was clear. To me, that felt like clear bias.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I definitely see it.
That's why I leaned over to you and I was like, American flag, suicide bomber, really?
Yeah.
I don't see it. So the third point. So the movie goes on. They start, and to be clear, the movie is about journalism. So the Civil War is like a subplot in the movie, and it follows these journalists that are conflict journalism.
Which he says that pretty well in the video we watched opening. Yeah. That he definitely is trying to give these journalists some spotlight, the way that they're capturing and doing their job and stuff, and he wants to highlight that.
Yeah. And I was listening to people on Twitter and stuff who are actually conflict journalists, and one thing that they said they captured it very well. So he's like amped. There's part of the dichotomy of the two characters, the young girl that wants to become a journalist, but she's shocked by all the horror and the violence. And then you have whatever the main guy's name is. Do we know? I can't remember. The main character who's played by the you'll have to look it up. I'm blanking on it. But he's like amped for it. He's like, yeah, let's go. And the girl's literally shaking and crying and vomiting over the things that she's seeing. And he's like amped for it. And it's kind of like what I said before, like the forensic pathologists and the firefighters, like we run 99% of the time. It's BS. And then we run the structure fire and it's like, yeah, let's go. That doesn't mean we want to see people's houses burn. We don't want to see the violence, but when it pops up and we're there, your adrenaline gets pumping. And the young girl even says it. She says, she said, I've never been so scared, but at the same time, I've never felt so alive. And from the conflict journalists that have actually been in war and done the war journalism. They're like, that's what it's like. It's like you're seeing these gruesome, mangled bodies, and you're amped to be there. And the movie captured that really well, of the journalist being like if you're a firefighter, like, this is our structure fire. This is like what we sign up to do, to go do this. And from what, again, I've never been to war, but from what the conflict journalists, the real ones, have said, they said they captured that feeling really well.
Interesting.
From the movie. Did you find the main character's name?
Yeah. So we have Joel, who is our
Yeah.
primary male. Lee, who is Kirsten Dunst's character, and then Jesse. Is
yeah.
the
Sammy was the old guy.
Yes.
So okay, so let's move on to how they depicted this president. So we said this, he's already made Alex Garland himself, so this fascist dictator of a president. Well, what makes this president so terrible? Well, they're sitting in the car and they kind of just say, hey, what he said, if you get the interview with this president, what questions are you going to ask him? And he kind of rattles off a couple points. And to me, I was like, seems like there's only one president really that's been advocating for these points. And he said, are you going to ask him how he's going to defund the FBI? Or are you going to ask him why he defunded the FBI and dismantled our intelligence agencies and sowed distrust in the media? And to me, I was like, okay, here we go. Because he's not talking about Joe Biden defunding the FBI. He's not talking about Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or any of these other ones. And again, these are fictional characters. But he's assigning a certain political view to this fascist president that everybody hates. Like, man, this president is such a fascist. They said he didn't want to concede power, and he's on his third term. What was the media during Donald Trump's term? Are you going to concede power? Are you going to concede power to the election if you didn't? He said, yeah, if it's a fair election, I will concede power. Donald Trump says that he will not concede power. That was the big talking point. We could see Donald Trump says he would run for a third term multiple times all over the news. So what in this movie, what do they portray this fascist dictator of a president as? This guy who wants to defund the FBI, who's an enemy of journalists. They shoot journalists on sight at the Capitol. That was in the trailer and obviously in the movie. But I'm not, whatever. You can't go there. You're a journalist. The president will have you shot on sight. This enemy of the press, this enemy of the people, this fascist dictator guy that wants to defund the FBI, to me, was very clear about who this guy was. And to me, it felt, considering modern day politics, Trump-esque. Now, if this movie was made before Trump, I would be like, the way they did that was really well done and was very non-biased. But it's just so perfect. So go ahead and hit this Reuters article here. And the funny thing is, I chose Reuters. I think it's pronounced Reuters. This Reuters article, that's not the right one.
It's I just saw it.
Trump newly charged? Yeah. So there it is. Trump newly charged urges the defunding of the Justice Departments and FBI. So this isn't stuff I'm making up or drawing conclusions to. This is from Reuters. And the odd thing is, the funny thing about this movie is the journalists in the movie that the movie tracks, they get in a stressful situation, and the guy is, I'm not going to give any spoilers of this scene because it's a really good scene. But he says, who do you work for? And he says Reuters. Yeah. So they're Reuters journalists, or at least the Kirsten Dunst and the main guy are. The little girl is just tagging along. She wants to do this for a living. So I thought that was funny that when I typed it in, the first article popped up was a Reuters article. And there it is. Trump newly charged urges defunding the Justice Department FBI. So this is just a little more confirmation bias, obviously, of the picture that they're trying to paint of this president. So go ahead and hit my notes again. Back to my notes. I didn't want to actually read any of this, but it just wanted to show the Reuters article. So they go through this thing, and that was it pretty much. He wants to defund the FBI. He wants to shoot journalists on sight. He wants to do all this stuff. So you look like you have something to say. What are you waiting?
Oh, check the chat for me in your text message.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Back to the show.
Yeah, so that was the next one. So let's go to point 4. The Boogaloo Boys. I got a lot to say about this one. They make an appearance. I will say they didn't specifically say who they were affiliated with or what they were affiliated with, but there is this strong tie of a certain type of person that is at least maybe loyal to the anti-government thing. So there's this fight scene, a very intense, very well shot, extremely like real feeling fight scene between the People's Army, or the Western Forces, as they would say, which is pretty much the military. Like the president has gone rogue or whatever, and the military kind of stuck together, and there's states that are loyal to them. They're the ones typically seen in the actual military uniforms. And then you have this group of people, of course, wearing Hawaiian shirts, and they're decked out in plate carriers. And
it was probably one of the most subtle scenes I think I've ever seen in my life.
But it said a lot,
like,
to me.
David had to point out to me the shirts.
It was very obvious that they never said Boogaloo Boys in the movie, to be clear. They never said, this is the Boogaloo movement, this is whatever. But there's only one group of people that was kind of, and it's not even a group of people, it was just a thing. So, like, I wanted to talk about the Boogaloo Boys, what they were, who they were. I don't even think they're around anymore. And really, it's nothing. The Boogaloo movement is nothing. Before the Boogaloo, it was Walking Dead was one of the biggest shows on television. Everything was the zombie apocalypse. Oh, what are you prepping for the zombie apocalypse? It was like, oh, you're one of those zombie apocalypse preppers. That's what it was. But zombie apocalypse became a collective term for any type of breakdown of society, civil war, whatever it was. And it was like, yeah, this is my zombie apocalypse setup. It's like, oh, so you actually believe that there's zombies? It's like, no, I don't believe that actually people are going to come out of the graves and start eating brains. I don't believe that. I'm using the zombie apocalypse as a term for any type of mass breakdown of society. Well, that kind of morphed into what they called the Boogaloo, which is pretty much a 4chan troll thing that happened.
Or the Boog. I kind of like
the
that
Boog, all of it. The Boogaloo, the great, the big igloo. Like so what? This is what happened.
Do you want me to share the screen, David? So while you're talking, you want to just?
I do in a second. So first, let's talk about where it kind of came from. So the Boogaloo came from online groups saying, kind of morphing from the zombie apocalypse to this larger generic term, which could mean civil war, could mean just an EMP, could mean whatever, as the Boogaloo, meaning lawless, you're on your own style. A lot of the guys were these prepper type stuff, and they wore these Hawaiian shirts, which kind of got more popularized in like military contracting because the Hawaiian shirts are so anti-uniform, and a lot of these contractors like that go overseas that do this stuff, they have beards, they've got tattoos, they're just non-regulation guys, and they make a point to be so non-regulation, like I'm wearing Hawaiian shirts, I'm doing this stuff. So a lot of that got like adopted into the civilian world, where all of a sudden you had these cool operator guys, but then you're at home and you're like kind of a wannabe operator. So you've got your Hawaiian shirt on, your plate carrier, and you go do like actual legit firearms training. Well, the left obviously has its, I mean, are we going to pretend like when you talk about a leftist extremist group, what comes to mind immediately?
Antifa.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Antifa, probably Black Lives Matter movements. I mean, we're talking about real violence. We're talking about burning down cities. We're talking about ambushing police officers regularly, killing them. Over 800 officer casualties. Isn't that crazy? 800 officer casualties. Billions of property damage. Areas of our city that have still not recovered. Like the infrastructure is so weak in some of these poor areas, and white and black people join together to go destroy these areas. And these people don't get their businesses back. And this is leftist, and it is leftist because it's being actually embraced and adopted by the left. The mentality is being adopted by the left. The politicians, Maxine Waters, we need to get more violent. We need to get We need to raise it. Like, we're not rowdy enough. And the left needed that sense of violence from a group from the right, because there really wasn't anything. It was like these generic gun owners, these basket of deplorables. It's like, who are you talking about? We need a group of people to pin it on. And that became the Boogaloo Boys, as they would say. The Boogaloo Boys is not, there's no Boogaloo Boy president. There's no Boogaloo Boy leader. The Boogaloo movement. Okay, so let's pull up Wikipedia now. Let's see what the mainstream media and articles have to say about this. This is Wikipedia, obviously. It's not whatever. But this is a good representation of what people say it is. The Boogaloo movement, whose adherents are often referred to as Boogaloo Boys, or Boys with an I. I like that one better. And again, I was part of all the Facebook groups when this was happening. So it was like, ooh, Boogaloo preppers. And you know what it was? What MREs are you guys doing? Like storing up batteries for when EMPs go off, or you need, it's like, most of it was like storm shelters. What happens when tornado goes off? Hurricane Katrina. The Boogaloo was happening during Hurricane Katrina when the government was going around seizing people's guns and people were defending their homes against looters and rioters, literally barricaded in their house with the food and water that they had stored up with rifles, shooting looters that were coming at their house. That is, in a sense, a Boogaloo event. So here's what Wikipedia says. It's a loosely organized, very loosely, meaning it doesn't exist. It's not even organized. Far right. Why? Why is it right wing? Because they have guns, probably. Anti-government extremist movement in the United States.
Lots of words.
Lots of descriptive words here. It has also been described by who? As a militia. Adherents say that who are preparing which adherents? Like, all of this is just garbage that somebody wrote. They seek to incite a second American Civil War or second American Revolution, which they call the Boogaloo or the Boog. The movement consists of pro-gun. Okay, so what makes somebody an extremist? Here it is right here. They're playing their hand. Pro-gun. Why is that extreme? This is our Second Amendment right. This is the Constitution.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So I see this adherents say, can we define adherents just so I have a clear, I feel like I know.
People that are belonging to the group.
Okay, so adhere to the beliefs.
They adhere to the
group.
belief of the group.
Okay.
The group that really doesn't even exist.
So, just to make sure. So is it true to say that adherents, the people in the Boogaloo movement or ideology or whatever, are preparing to seek to incite, or are they preparing in case it happens? Is that true? Is that true?
No, they're not seeking to incite anything. First of all, there's no organized group, militia, president, whatever. I think maybe later on some random guy was like, oh, I'm the leader of the Boogaloo Boys, and it was like, ended up being nothing.
All right, Jerry, sit down.
Yeah, like, okay, it was probably
you ain't no warlord barbecue, man. Get out
yeah, dude, you get on barbecue's level, bro. Until you start eating people, I don't want to hear a word.
Nothing.
Look up episode 5 to hear more about barbecue.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Was that 5?
I think
you got that memorized?
I don't.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm guessing. And watch 5 and the episode of barbecue in it.
Watch 5 and before and after
Just start
episodes.
it- yeah, just start
Somewhere
at your
between
base.
4 and 6. Watch all of them.
Just start at 1 and just go from there.
So let's find out what they make an extremist. Being pro-gun makes you an extremist. This is what they think of you. Am I an extremist because of this? I mean, this is probably
Sorry
excessive.
to break it to you.
No comment.
This is probably
I
excessive.
played the 5th.
But well, again, it's what we do for a living.
But that is such a rhetoric, period, because if you have anything that's opposing to a very standard, today's standard, because a 1994 standard left-leaning ideology is very different.
Yeah.
Like Bill Clinton did not believe in any way, shape, or form what
The leftists
Grandpa
are spouting.
Joe believes. But what I'm saying, let me get to my point. Yeah. There is just a very interesting rhetoric in debate and argument and dealing with these issues that as soon as you say something like I'm pro-life, there is a huge amount of baggage that comes with that. I am pro-TA. There's so much baggage that come with
You're
that.
thrown into a group.
And I'm so like jaw-droppingly flabbergasted as what to say sometimes, because I'm like, this means 10, 15 different things that I'm not saying to say that I am this, or I agree with this, or I want to protect I do want to protect the right to bear arms.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a valuable
Can you be a Democrat? Let me ask you a question. Can you be a Democrat and be pro-gun?
I think you can. I think it's possible. Like you might need to be like one step to the left nowadays.
Yeah.
You can't be the 300 steps that the left has taken
Yeah.
to the left, but I think you can.
Can you, but aren't you voting against your own interest? If you're like, I'm pro-gun, but I'm voting for this guy that's saying, I'm going to take all your guns away. Nobody should own an AR-15. You're voting against your own belief.
Like, part of me wonders if people who are on the left who are still pro-gun, because they know that inherently, like, there's absolutely no way that anyone on the left will ever be able to overturn the Second Amendment of the Constitution, so they don't even consider that an issue. But they're like, well,
I've heard that argument
that I vote for. They're anti-gun, but like they're never going to be able to do it.
So I'll vote for them
because anyway, because like I know
Voting for a pipe
not
dream.
going to.
Yep. That's a super good point because that's a lot of the conversations I had.
Yeah.
But during COVID, again, we're in a major metro area that is heavily blue, even though our state is one of the most red states that you can get. I had friends hitting me up that were definitely do not vote on the right at all. Oh, hey, do you think I could get a gun? When the Black Lives Matter riot started popping off, people literally in their own neighborhoods sending me footage. This is what's going on outside my neighborhood. Do you think I could borrow a gun? No.
I was around those conversations.
Yeah.
I was around that. And I remember
like,
it was
no.
very surprising to think, wow, when it comes to your safety and the safety of your family, your political views really take a back seat.
Yep.
Your political views take a back seat to protecting your family, protecting your property. And I'm not talking about your Xbox. Let's be real. You do have a right to protect your home.
Yeah.
And keep your front door safe, keep your back door safe. Like you have a right to that.
Yeah.
And I totally support that. But if you're like, I'm not at home and they're still my Xbox, let them have the Xbox. But at the end of the day, it's very interesting that when people really get put in the skillet, they're not adhering to a rhetoric that they're told.
There's a
from their favorite politician.
There's a guy who did something too, even when it came to like gender ideology. The more primitive things get, the more gender roles are enforced. We laughed at that meme of, hey, ladies, it's time to make sure your boyfriend is warlord material, apocalyptic warlord material. It's like all of a sudden,
A little snort there for you.
all of a sudden, it's like, oh shoot, I don't need no man. Whenever the fit hits the shan, as I like to say,
Clever.
you are immediately looking for a protector, and the men immediately start stepping up and being like, okay, like those liberal, a lot of the left-leaning liberal friends that I have, close friends, that are like, no, like you do. They're centrists. The logical liberal, the argument that I broke down a few times, they're centrist, but I also don't believe everybody should have guns and blah, blah, blah. I choose not to carry it. I don't really care what you do. And my argument to them is, well, you're voting against my right to do it. It's cool if you say I don't want to do it but I support the Second Amendment. Everybody else wants to do it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really the argument. And then all of a sudden, when things got down, it's like, hey, I got to step up and be a man and protect my family.
Yeah.
911's not coming. They will not show up. And we saw that firsthand. People literally shot dead in the street and no 911. Sorry. Seattle Chop Chaz, women being raped, calling 911. Hey, we're not going in there. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait a second. I can't subsidize my safety to the government.
Yeah.
I don't call what I call a better man to come protect my family. Like, oh, I don't think we need guns. It's like, cool. But whenever something happens, you call better men to come protect you.
Yeah.
Instead of protecting your own family.
And just so it's said, the meme is making fun of a weakening of men that's happening. I think we agree that that's kind of happening in general. There's also strengthening of men I think is happening, but we also want to say, ladies, if you're watching, check out Stop the Bleed. Go to the gun range.
Yeah, protect yourself.
Pay a little money to learn how to shoot a handgun.
Yep.
If you're interested and okay with having a gun, you can have guns in your purse. You can have guns in your car.
I don't have the exact statistic, but a large portion of self-defense uses of firearms are women against rapists.
Yeah.
Large portion.
And we definitely support anyone who wants to learn how to safely protect themselves, safely defend themselves, and safely care for themselves when it comes to get a DireFAK, take care of yourself, save your life.
Yep.
You might be able to save someone. Like, you might be out with your girls one night. You could get hit by a car. We saw it today.
So this conversation derailed in a good way.
Sorry.
Not derailed. It railed in a good way. That sounds not good.
We're going to work on that.
We'll work on it. But let's go back to the Boogaloo Boys. So they even say here, Boogaloo emerged on 4chan. Like, this should tell you it's a troll immediately. Like, I've never seen mainstream media fall for trolls so hard. We joked about the Kofefe thing. Donald Trump is sending a secret code to his base because he mistyped on Twitter. Like, come on, people. So
Just Rusticus said it well. It is a made-up meme that only lives as a left-wing boogeyman.
perfect. Thank you. What's that guy?
Just Rusticus.
I want to start giving away some prizes to, if we call out a chat, like a good chat, I want to start giving away like some t-shirts and stuff like that to people like that. A patch. Who was it? Can you get the name? I will send you a patch. Hey, Liam, do me a favor real quick. Hey, Liam. Liam. There he is. Can you do me a favor? Yeah. Get on the bottom left drawer over here and pull out a blue patch that says violator of community standards. That is such a good way to put that. Yeah, open that up. There should be a patch that says blue patch that says violator of community standards. Reach out to me on Instagram, whoever's chat that was. Check the right drawer. Oh, you got one? Let me see that patch real quick. I want to start calling people out and doing stuff. That was a great comment. What was his tag?
Just Rusticus.
Just Rusticus. Follow on Instagram. Shoot me a message on Instagram. I want to send you one of these patches. Violator of community standards. These are available at direarmory.com if anybody else wants to buy them. It's got hook Velcro on the back. These are super cool. You just want a free patch with that amazing comment. I'm going to send that out to you.
Boom. And
I'll put some stickers and stuff in there too. But yeah, it's a boogeyman. And we saw this with a bunch of PSYOPs. The organized at the Capitol, the January 6th anniversary. They're all meeting at the Capitol, and Coleon Noir, Iraq Vet 88. A bunch of people were like, "Look, I don't know where this movement or party is coming from, but we're heavily involved in the 2A space, and we haven't heard any talks about it except for the government saying it's going to happen. This feels like a psyop. This feels like an instigation." And guess what? The only people that showed up were FBI. Bunch of undercover FBI guys that were not subtle with their all of them wearing the same stuff, Hawaiian shirts, aviator sunglasses, obviously printing firearms, concealed carry. One guy had his back pocket, you could see the bulge of a badge, like against it was so bad. The only person that was arrested was an FBI agent. And in the video, the guy's like, "Are you FBI? Are you FBI?" It was just a cluster cuss of hilarity. I couldn't believe it. Patriot Front, remember that? The guys in the white hoods that showed up, arrested for a bombing plot. We found them all in a U-Haul. Here's them all lined up. So cops arrested them and didn't remove any of their masks, let them all keep their masks on, paraded them around for a little bit. This white supremacist terrorist group, Patriot Front, all well-built 28 to 32-year-old men that all have the same haircut, the same like uniform. Like, bro, come on. You cannot get guys organized like that. Like, they are all wearing they said if you were to show up and you said, "Hey, everybody, wear like a white mask," right? Everybody would show up with a different type of white mask. They all showed up with the exact same one. Like, they bulk ordered these things off of Amazon or whatever.
Amazon Prime, baby.
Oh my gosh. It's just so cringy, but in the movie Civil War, these Boogaloo Boys make an appearance, and it just further solidified the bias of who was the bad guy and who was and again, they didn't say these are the bad guys, these are the loyals to the president. This was just kind of a random skirmish that they happened to run into. But it's just crazy.
Right.
All
right.
So we're gonna keep moving on. What's the next point on the notes? Define Boogaloo Boys. Who are they? Virginia 2020 demonstration. Oh yeah. So I did want to do the Virginia 2020 demonstration. So, we skipped one. That's okay. So here it is. So go to the far one. Thousands rallied for gun rights in Richmond, Virginia. So Virginia was going to crack down on some gun rights, and people weren't happy about it. So the left just went nuts because they were planning a demonstration. Everybody around the country is like, let's rally in Virginia to protect gun rights. The mainstream media freaked out. The Boogaloo Boys are going to be there. Everybody brace yourself. This is going to be an act of terrorism.
Mr. Boogaloo in the flesh.
Mr. Boogaloo in the flesh. The governor called a state of emergency. They called in the National Guard. It was this big spectacle of things. And people were worried that a bad actor or some kind of false flag actor would trigger an event, maybe shoot something or do whatever. Look at this. It's estimated that 22,000 people showed up to the event. Not a single injury. Not a single shot fired. All the pictures shaking hands with guests. They said a white supremacist movement. All of a sudden, the black, what are they called? It was like a group of black gun owners. I forget the name of them. They were all there. They were like, what are you talking about? There's like black people love their gun rights too. Like there's plenty of just normal middle class. Like, why are you trying to pit this? So they started posting pictures of their Instagram there, shaking hands with police officers. The city said they left it cleaner than they found it. How do you get 22,000 people to do that? And all of a sudden, it just out of the news, died. The left was hoping that something would happen that they could point to, and they don't have anything. So they assign these boogeymen. They create these collective things, and it's just sickening. But in the movie, you can see that somebody that doesn't know the nuances of American politics would look at the news and say, oh, these are the white supremacist groups. These are the extremist groups. Let's kind of throw that in as a little detail in the movie of who these people might be. Look at this guy. That guy looks like a terrorist to me. I used to have that gun hanging right here. It's a Barrett 50. No mag in it, no nothing. And they were so terrified. Men walking around with 50 caliber sniper rifles. That's who they're talking about. This guy. Like, probably plays Call of Duty. He probably went home from this and just zoom in on that face. Look at that face. He probably went home, ate a triple cheeseburger, and played Call of Duty for the rest of the night. No plans to hurt anybody.
But so happy to be here on
So
this day.
happy to be.
He's just happy to be included, man. You know, he's
This is a
he's
part of the
having
group,
fun.
man. I have friends now. I have friends. So, man, that was just part of the movie that I was like, really, guys, come on. So let's go to the notes. Let's go to the next point. We've hammered out the Boogaloo Boy thing too much. It was a very small part of the movie.
But it's a real meme.
So the next thing they mention is Kirsten Dunst's character. She kind of gets portrayed as this journalistic icon. She's like a big deal. Like, people know her name. Oh, you're Lee. You're Lee. You wrote the article on this and that. And the young girl, she mentions that.
I think it was Lee Miller.
Lee Miller. Lee is her first name.
Mm-hmm.
So Lee Miller.
I think it was.
Yeah, you're right. Lee Miller, and the girl says, I know your work. You took that iconic photo at the Antifa massacre. So they do mention Antifa. I don't know if they were trying to create like a dichotomy of nonpartisan politics of like the Boogaloo Boys and then the Antifa massacre. And they don't mention whether like the government came and massacred Antifa or if Antifa massacred a group of people. We don't know.
It makes the most sense that it's implying that a group of Antifa was massacred, especially if you think, if you're going to draw the line that Nick Offerman's character is Trump, then you'd probably draw the line that Antifa would have been massacred.
Yeah, they would be the victims.
Yeah, and that's where it gets interesting because the little bit that I've researched about Antifa, it's really hard to find a way to make them the victims of anything.
Yeah. Even though they've been caught.
Other than lives being lost. I mean,
other than killing people.
Yeah.
And starting violent riots and getting caught by undercover police officers buying, selling weapons, and planning acts of terrorism. Like a real and actually organized. They've got pages dedicated to them still up on Facebook. You can't have anything that says Boogaloo on Facebook, but you can have Antifa chapter, Chicago chapter, Atlanta chapter, California chapter, Antifa pages everywhere.
Yeah.
All like literally like open. I screenshot it because I just went on a rant one day about it on I was like in a conversation. I was screenshotting it to prove my point because they were like, no, Antifa is an ideology. It's not like a group of people. And I was like, oh, here's all the things. I went into the groups. I joined the group as like undercover almost like, hey, yeah, we hate the man, and went in undercover. And I started screenshotting horrible things like we need to like burn these pigs alive with a police officer, like all this type of stuff. I'm like, dude, this is actually scary. I was a part of the Boogaloo Facebook groups too before they got shut down. Nothing like that. Hey, what comms are you guys running? Hey, anybody? I got some of these expired MREs. Do you think they're safe to eat? Like that was the talks of the Boogaloo guys prepping
It's
stuff.
so crazy.
Antifa is like, let's kill these people. This is where we should do it. This is how we should do it. And I'm screenshotting it to Facebook. Oh, well, we don't think that violates our community standards. Patch plug.
Until it violates
Until
the
somebody
community.
dies. Yeah. And
Facebook.
that kind of brought back like who are the president's loyalists? That's kind of what the next point I had on here. Who are they? They mentioned it sometime. Well, the president's just they're storming the Capitol. The journalists are trying to get there to interview him, and the president and just a few loyalists are left. Who are the loyalists? You know, and there's people that are basically willing to fight and die for this president. All right, so the spoiler. All right, this is a big spoiler.
Turn it off.
If you plan on it, again, it's not a spoiler because it's a spoiler from the first scene of the movie where they say, hey, this is what's going to happen in the beginning of the movie. There's no twist. The end of the movie. You got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2,
Sign it off.
1.
Leave.
All right. Here's the spoiler. The Western forces that are against this fascist president, basically the military that is not sided with the president, they go and it's shoot on sight. We got to kill this guy. He's on his 3rd term. He's refused to concede power. He's locked himself in the White House. For some reason, he's not in a bunker that he has access to, like presidential bunkers and things like that. He's just chilling at his desk in the White House. It would have been way better if they were like, the movie was about them trying to find where his bunker was, and then they find it, and they do like a surprise attack at night. Like that's how they would have done it. Not he's sitting at his desk in the White House and we're just going to kick in the door.
So going back to our talking about Alex Garland, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his view from a media standpoint, this may be kind of a picture of the arrogance that people see Trump exuding.
Yes.
And I'm not a Trump guy particularly, but I do see the point of the guy's got an arrogance about him, you know. I think that's but it might be a sense of like, why would I leave the White House? I'm going to stand.
Yeah.
That's I guess my
like
my
a
take
sacrificial lamb type of deal.
Yeah.
Like Trump's ego is so, again, not Trump, the president's ego.
Yeah.
This president that is got no political affiliation or bias towards him, his decides to stay there and be the sacrificial lamb and stuff. But that also wouldn't make sense because in the beginning he's like, oh, we're winning.
Yeah. But I think it's the arrogance of him being there.
I got you.
Yeah. I don't. I guess.
So
that's one way of thinking about it. But yeah.
So they go and kind of at the end of it, you know, there's shoot on sight orders. We're going to kill the president, and they're just trying to get there and get an interview with him, but basically before he gets smoked. So they go in there, and there's a massive gunfight, a super cool gunfight. Again, somebody brought up in a Facebook post like apparently sheetrock can just stop bullets. I thought that was hilarious. Like the guy is obviously in a frame door with like 4 feet of wall, and he's peeking the door and just shooting down the hallway, and you could see bullets hitting the sheetrock right where his body would be, and he's still like shooting, bro. Well, unless the White House has reinforced walls, which would actually make sense. And when you do like a CQB class or CQB training, they actually teach that. So like you can like peek and find out where they are, and your brain just kind of knows, and you just shoot through the wall on that spot. They do that a lot.
Yeah. Turn on your wall hacks.
Pretty much. So anyways, I got off on a tangent there, but they end up obviously running in. They end up defeating the Trump loyalists, the Secret Service that are there protecting him. They get to him, and then of course Nick Offerman, this fascist president, is like scared, almost crying.
Man.
They get him down, and they're about to execute him, and the guy says, wait, stop, I need a quote. And he, all of a sudden, his demeanor changes almost. He gets angry, and he's looking at me, he's like, I need a quote. And he's like, cowardly, very cowardly, like, please don't let them kill me. And he's like, that'll work. And he's almost smugly, like, he's like, go ahead, kill him. Like, and they're just looking at him, and he almost has this joy in his face, this smugness of like, this fascist guy is finally like dead.
Yeah. So for me, that whole scene from the time they got into the White House and I think the journalists got in there first, and then the Hedge of Protection Western Forces group came in, and then kind of like Force was like, don't get in our way.
Yeah.
Which they've been in your way the whole time. I don't know.
I was wondering about that, and I'd be interested to talk to a conflict journalist. Like, would you be in a stack of SWAT dudes?
Yes. There were a lot
in
of
the
questions.
Stack.
That introduced a lot of questions I didn't know I'd have in my lifetime.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're a conflict journalist and there's like three guys like doing CQB going in, and they're got you like stay on me, and then they like shoot and like clear a room, and then the journalists are going right in with them, I was like, dude, I'd be like a room back after then. They'd be like, okay, you're good. So we do a lot of SWAT movement and active shooter training, and that's what it is. Like, you're not really in the stack. They go in, they clear the room, they call you in, you go into the room, they go clear the next room, you treat dead people, you put tourniquets on, do whatever. Triage is what it's called. So you triage, hey, this guy's dead, don't worry about him. This guy's going to die, and there's nothing we can do. This guy just needs a tourniquet, put a tourniquet on. Hopefully he lives. Let's go to the next room.
Yeah. So to me, and I've had a few days to think about this, and there is a lot to weigh out. So I'm not going to say the last few days has made a life-changing decision for me, but right now this is kind of where I'm standing. What's interesting is, so I can see the argument for somebody has done so much evil that they've earned the death penalty, and in due process, that decision can be made. And I want to trust the justice system. I want to.
Tough.
It's tough. But when I saw this, there was something that stuck with me. So was it the press secretary?
Yes.
Okay. So the press secretary has clearly, when you watch the movie, you'll see this. The group of Western forces that are with Western force military that's with the journalists, they go into the room, journalists come in, and you see this scene where the press secretary has thrown her gun or something. She's thrown anything that could be perceived as a weapon to the ground, and it's laying on the ground in front of her. Very quick cuts. I'm not trying to over-explain it, but you can see something she's thrown down. She's saying she's unarmed. She's saying that she's ready to talk. She's willing to talk.
Yep.
To me, here's where you present an issue, because what ends up unfolding is they literally just shoot her.
Yeah.
They ask a couple questions. They ask where he is. Are you going to surrender him? Blah, blah. And also interesting words, you're going to surrender him. But they end up just shooting her when she won't answer the question immediately. In my take right now, I understand that it's war, but when someone surrenders, when someone throws their gun to the side, I can't help but think the conclusion I've come to right now, this is just where I'm at, that is murder.
Oh, it would be a war crime. I mean, at least.
So to me, and I don't understand all the legalities of war crime stuff, but to me, I'm like, if that's where we're willing to go, man, I got some issues with where things could go. And that really, and the same thing with the president. President was obviously flailing around and all that. I mean, and if he had earned his death sentence.
It's like Bin Laden vibes.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care. Our goal is to go in, and this guy is so evil and so bad, this fascist president, that we're it's kill on sight, go in, our mission is to smoke this dude. That was like Bin Laden 9/11 level whatever, because this fascist president wanted to defund the FBI and dismantle the intelligence agency.
It was just something that like didn't sit well with me in the moment. Yeah. And then I had a busy couple of days, but as I got to think about it, I was just like, man, that's, to me, unjust war is just murder.
Yeah.
Somebody who's willing to surrender and go quietly or go peacefully, and you just kill them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, that really like definitely put some weird. Yeah, I had some things to think through.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the overall theme of the movie, of things getting that bad, is is how far is what is the actions people would actually be willing to take in those situations? Would we have, and again, I don't want to give away some of the key scenes. I gave away the big spoiler of the movie. If you're still watching this, then the movie's been kind of spoiled, but still go watch it. There's a lot of really intense scenes of, the movie is incredibly violent, and the violence felt very real to me as somebody who's seen a lot of people get shot, a lot of gun training and things like that, like, and watch people get shot and bleed out. The way their bodies like reacted to the trauma felt real. I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
There was one scene, and I won't say who or what or whatever because I don't want you to like know what's coming up. But somebody does get shot, and I leaned over here and said Medic Monday because they pulled out like a roll of cling gauze and started like packing a chest wound with just cling wrap, and I was like, man, don't do that. But if you're an untrained civilian, and kind of when we reacted to the trailer, I was like, I kind of like this aspect of these guys don't look that trained.
Yeah.
Because that's realistic. But the question is, how evil, what is the underlying evil that rests in society that would manifest itself if there were no laws or rules? Would people just, there's a famous scene in the trailer when they are like, who are these guys? They're all beat up, strung up, and they're like, oh, these guys are looters. Like, what evil would somebody be willing to commit on somebody else? And I think it's going to be worse than you actually think it is, because we have insight into what it looks like from other countries. And we think, well, that's third world. They're like more primitive types of people. We live in like a society that's more educated and more whatever. I'm telling you from personal experience, the stuff I've seen from gang violence and gang retaliation is, when I saw it, I was like, I thought it was like, this stuff is only in movies, but I haven't seen anything this cruel in movies even. If I saw this happen in a movie, I'd be like, I don't want to see that. You think like people feeding people to dogs is only in North Korea? It's not. You think people tying Rambo style up to mattresses and torturing them to death is in movies and other countries? It's not. It's horrific. And that's with the rule of law that we have now. That's with our educated high society that we have. People, when society breaks down, will absolutely commit atrocities against other people for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Now, it is different shooting somebody. Like, if you've got property and somebody's like, there's no law, there's no society, and you're in your house and you hear poof, poof, somebody's like battering, ramming your door down, you're just ready to drop some bodies at the front door. That's different. That's justified. That's okay, in my opinion. I mean, not ideal. You obviously don't want to shoot anybody. You don't want anything to happen. But like, if you're defending yourself, that's one thing. But there are people out there that have their own agenda. They have their own gangs to protect. They have their own businesses. There's what was I watching last? Halo, the Halo TV show.
Ooh.
The Pirate. You out, Michael? All right, see you, bro.
Thank you.
The Pirate says, he's like, you don't get opinion or something. You're a pirate. He's like, I like to think of myself as a small business owner. So it's like the gangs, that's why I say the quotes, the small business owners, the drug dealers and stuff. Those guys, are absolutely willing to do some stuff that would blow your mind.
Yeah.
And have done it. And you can only really prepare. And the political bias aside, the Civil War movie, I thought was a great film. I'm able to remove my own, like, there's people that were like, dude, I wanted to walk out after I realized what was going on. I should have just left. It sucked. I was like, from a film standpoint, cinematography, the scenery, the broken cities was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The sound design was mind-blowing.
Like, the gunshots actually startled me multiple times, which I was like,
I jumped.
At first, I was like, why do they do that? But then I was like,
Bro,
this is the way it is. No one's wearing ear pro. They're not running around, hey, did you put your ear pro and eye pro on, please?
Which was kind of dumb.
They're
You're a
definitely
conflict
dumb,
journalist and you don't have ear. I said that in the theater.
Definitely dumb, but I can understand from a sense of the rawness. Maybe it works a little bit better.
But the pro-military guys had no ear pro either.
That's true. I mean, it was across the board.
There was a scene where a helicopter swoops in with a minigun. It's just like, right over their heads, and they're just like talking to each other. And I'm like, like you've got the head. And the funny thing is the helmets that they were wearing, because I'm a geared junkie, obviously. It had the mounts for ear pro, and they just didn't have ear pro on. It's like, come on. So at least put some foamies in. Have you ever been to the range and somebody popped a round off right before you got your ear pro on or something? Like, it's
so.
like, oh, like some of the shots in this movie, like startled, like I jumped scared, but it's not even a jump scare. They nailed it when it came to sound design. Overall, I would say I would still suggest you go see the movie. It's a good movie. Other than the obvious political bias, don't listen to people saying, "Oh, there's no bias." One of the Rotten Tomato, I was just reading through the Rotten Tomato reviews just to see what it says, and people were like, if you find political bias in this movie, it's because you're looking for it. Right. And I was like, man, I disagree. I think they were very clear about who this fascist president was, the way the policies that this president implemented that led to a civil war were very much so. Yeah. What the Trump talking points right now.
Yeah. I think I can agree in the sense of maybe it wasn't there in intention. Yeah. But it was at least there in influence. Yeah. It just was. There is some bias there. So it's there.
Yeah. And I really felt they nailed the evil that people will commit. Ooh. They nailed the if you don't want to just dig into it, I mean, there's plot holes. Not plot holes, like logistically, like, there's no more cell phone service, but the military is operating in full capacity. Like,
interesting.
Things like that. There's like a lot of like things that should have, I felt like, been more broken down in society. But the girl that is running her store, they run into this town that's very peaceful, and she's just like, we just try to stay out of it. There will be people like that. People talk about, they'll be in Iraq and suicide bombers will be going off and Hamas is running around decapitating people, and they come in and clear it. And literally hours later, people start pulling their stuff back out on the streets. They're like, I still got to sell my fruit.
Yep. And there's Montana and Idaho.
Yeah. Like logistically, it's just going to be hard for conflict to outbreak in certain areas. Yep. You've got small towns surrounded by a bunch of farmland, probably not being swarmed in by fighter jets and things like that. Major cities, you are just kind of screwed. Yeah. Go see the movie. I really think it is worth a watch, at least just to get your mind thinking about what some kind of conflict might look like, and just remove if you're more right wing or more left leaning. Try to put that stuff out of your head and just enjoy the movie for what it is, and try to think of yourself. What would you do in that situation? What would you need to kind of prepare? How are you prepared? And just enjoy it for what it is. But I think that's all we really went into.
Yeah, we were able to take our aluminum foil hats off. So
yeah, I did. Like actively throughout the movie, I'm like, I don't want to read into this. I want to enjoy this movie. I've been looking forward to this.
And from a filmmaker's standpoint, I mean, I do genuinely enjoy what A24 has kind of done with their movies. Want to watch more of their movies, but I'm not a big horror fan, and that's a big part of their catalog. But I think they did well from a film standpoint. There were actors in it that just, I never can think of his name. The blonde haired guy. Which American are you?
Dude, that guy is such a good actor. He was in Black Mirror. We were talking about this. Man, what a great actor. Is that him? Jesse Plemons? That sounds right. I think yep. Dude, what a fantastic actor. And he just portrays like, I don't want to even say whether he's a good guy or bad guy. He's a very short film. The film is like in chunks of like, it's like conflict, some driving and talking and story building, conflict, and they're kind of just trying to get there, but they're running into all this little like Civil War skirmishes, and you don't know who's fighting who. And
they're kind of, in my opinion, and I think they're kind of painted as unaffiliated bad characters. Yeah. But what's interesting is you look at their characters when you watch the scene with him in it. It gives you a lot of things to chew on based on, if I was in the middle of this conflict, but also not wanting to affiliate with your side, I just want to protect my property and take care of me and mine, this might be one way you go about it. Then you have the guy who's basically gunning down anybody that passes the road next to his property. And you see a very interesting exchange between our journalist characters and these two guys that are set up. And I was surprised Like, I didn't realize that was going to be that scene because they have a trailer where there's two guys stacked on each other, one sniping, one.
I didn't know about. I was like, why are they laying on top of each other?
Yeah, it was a really interesting setup. I'm not going to comment on it, but their conversation was so eye opening that like, and since it's a trailer, I'll just say it like, what's going on here? And one guy's like, he kind of just like, it's kind of, you idiot, you not realize.
He's like annoyed by the question.
They're shooting at me, so I'm going to shoot at them.
Yeah.
And that's not word for word, but.
And the main character is like, no, who are you fighting for? And he's like, oh, you're one of those guys. You're one of these guys that think there's two sides.
Yeah.
Literally, we need to pass this road, and this guy's shooting at us, and we can't pass this road.
Yeah.
So we need to take him out so we can keep driving down the road. There's no, oh, this is a bad guy, I'm a good guy. There's no nothing. It's like, and that's how it will be.
Right.
There's going to be things where a dad says, my kid is crying and is hungry, and I need to get them food, and you have food, and you're not giving it to me. Right. So I can either watch my kid starve, or I can take your stuff.
Yeah. And it will happen with your best friends from high school because there's a scene. Interesting.
That was very interesting. That's a good point. I wanted to bring that up too.
Well, do we want to just quickly talk the scene? I know
I almost don't want to spoil it because we're running late. And
yeah, the guy just says there's a scene that breaks down, and it's obvious that this guy may have been looting, but he basically mentions I went to high school with that guy.
Yeah.
And it's just like
they could have, and that was a creative decision that they made that I was proud. I was glad that they made it because that could have been a lot more politically polarizing
and racially charged.
Because the way that they brought those guys in, I was like, and he was like, oh yeah, we got these guys basically strung out back, and I was like, oh great, here we go. It's gonna be like these white racist rednecks, and it wasn't. And
you just saw silhouettes
they did a good job
first, so it was like hard to tell what you were about to.
It was a good job. So anyways, that's it. We're going to go ahead and close it there. That was kind of our full movie review. I said, the title of the thumbnail is kind of clickbaity, like we saw it, so you don't have to. Man, go see it. It's a good movie. For what it is, it still felt like a missed opportunity to really create something unbiased, and even though they said it was unbiased, it felt like a missed opportunity, kind of like The Purge. Like, it was like, dude, what a concept. And you watch the movie and it just sucked. This is better than The Purge. It doesn't suck as a movie.
Yeah.
But it could have been, there's an opportunity there where it could have been a groundbreaking film.
Yeah.
Fell a little bit flat, but still worth a watch, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just kind of end my portion with, I think Christopher Nolan said it best. Making movies is about getting people to feel things, but it is a bad approach to make them think things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a summarization of what Christopher Nolan said.
That's a great quote.
I thought it was beautiful because he ended it with polarization is not good.
Yeah.
In movies.
Yeah.
Not to say that documentaries and things like that can't approach certain subject matter, but I think for an entertainment standpoint, it was really wise words.
Yeah. Cool. medicmondaylive@gmail.com. Make sure that you get those clips into us. You're watching a show, you see something that's kind of funny, even just an email that says, hey, I was watching, we got an email that said, hey, I was watching Fargo and somebody improvised a tourniquet on this scene, this episode, this timestamp.
Yeah. And
I looked it up and I was like, oh, sick. So we saved that. We're gonna react to that stuff. So medicmondaylive@gmail.com. Make sure you get those in. The DireFAK. Make sure you get your entries in.
Yes.
3. We're giving away 3 of these things.
And then put the link in the chat.
Link in the chat. Cool. And one of those 3 is going to be the full Stop the Bleed bundle. So you get the DireFAK with all the medical components inside, and these medical components are not cheap. It's very, very good. If you've already got medical stuff, use some for training, cycle out your old stuff with some later date stuff because this stuff is new. Cat tourniquet with a cat tourniquet holder. This is a really, really good combo. This will save your life. And the trauma shears with the trauma shear sheath from Audi Gear. These will cut clean through a penny. Maybe I'll do that one live one day. It's pretty crazy what these things are capable of. So make sure that you go enter the Gleam giveaway, get as many entries as you can. Follow us here on Rumble. Make sure that you're following us on Rumble so you can win. We'll probably announce the winner live here on this show. So make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you're getting those push notifications. 13 days. So not next Medic Monday, but the Medic Monday after that, we will be, right? What's the days? We will be announcing the winner. And if not, you can't wait. You don't want to try your luck. Go ahead and try your luck. Go ahead and buy one.
Yeah.
And if you win, then you have two. Like literally, there's so many endless uses for this. You could have one in your vehicle, one in your center console, and then you could have one on your battle belt, plate carrier setup, carrying your purse, whatever it is.
And it will instantly increase your luck of survival.
It will.
Yeah, 100%.
Your chances of survival are very, very much increased by having some medical equipment. Anything else we need to hit on? What is that? That's about everything, right?
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. See us back here, right here on Rumble, live next Monday,
11 a.m. Eastern
time.
Yep. I'll see you guys next time.
All right.